If you're pouring your time, energy, and resources into your aspiring elite student athlete, I want to start with a question I ask myself all the time as a coach. When your child eventually stops playing their sport, whether that's next year or 10 years from now, what do you hope they walk away with? Of course, we all want success in the game. We all want growth, opportunity, confidence, maybe even championships. But if I'm being honest, and I think most parents feel this way too, that's not the real end goal. The real goal is raising a young person who's resilient, independent, and capable of leading themselves when nobody's watching. Someone who can, handle pressure. Someone who knows how to plan, adapt, communicate, grow. And that's what this conversation here today is really about. I've been around athletes my entire life, as a coach, mentor, and as a student of development. And here's one thing I've learned the hard way. Sport is an incredible teacher, but it doesn't automatically teach life skills. Discipline, confidence, leadership, accountability. Those don't just show up because someone trains hard or competes at a high level. They have to be developed intentionally. I've seen incredibly talented athletes struggle the moment structure disappears. They've always been told where to be, when to be there, and what to do next. But no one ever taught them how to manage themselves. And when sport gets harder or eventually ends, that gap shows up real quick. That's why beyond the game isn't just a phrase for us in TPH. It's a responsibility. Now, before I talk about what we do at TPH, I want to pause here because this part matters, whether your child ever steps foot in our academy or not. I want to give you 5 practical, repeatable ways parents can help athletes develop real skills, not just in theory, but in everyday life. First, replace post-game analysis with a weekly reflection ritual. Most conversations after games revolve around performance. What went right? What went wrong? Instead of trying to change every post-game moment, do this instead. Once a week, sit down for 10 minutes and ask the same 3 questions. What challenged you this week? What did you learn about yourself? What's one thing you want to do better next week? Write it down. Keep it simple. This teaches reflection, the skill every athlete, every leader needs to evaluate themselves honestly and improve intentionally. Second, shift from managing to reviewing. A lot of parents manage their athlete's life without realizing it. Here's a small but powerful change. Instead of telling them what's next, start reviewing what they planned. Once a week, ask them to walk you through their schedule, their commitments, what they're worried about, what they're excited about. Your role isn't to fix it. It's to listen and ask one key question. What's your plan? This builds ownership, planning skills, and accountability without removing support. Okay, third, practice decision-making under constraints. One of the biggest gaps I see in today's young athletes isn't effort, it's decision-making. They're used to being told what to do. So here's a simple practice. Once a week, give them a real choice with real constraints and let them own it. For example, you have practice, homework, and recovery tonight. So how are you going to structure your evening? Or you didn't get the result you wanted this weekend. What's your response going to be this week? How about tomorrow's a big day and you're tired. I can see it. What's your plan to be ready? Have them talk it through out loud. What options do you see? What are the trade-offs? What are you choosing and why? Then, as a parent, step back. Don't correct it unless safety is involved. Just let them live with the outcome. That's how athletes learn judgment, confidence, and resilience, by deciding, reflecting, and adjusting. Okay, we're on to number 4. Schedule identity building experiences. Leadership doesn't grow accidentally. It grows through exposure. Once a month, intentionally schedule something for your athlete that has nothing to do with their sport. Volunteering, maybe a job shadow, public speaking, managing money, or earning responsibility. Put it on the calendar like a practice. When athletes realize their identity is bigger than their jersey, they play freer and they transition more confidently when sport changes or ends. 5th and finally, run through a weekly values check-in. Values aren't taught, they're practiced. So once a week, ask, what did you do this week that you're really proud of? Where did you fall short of your standards? What does doing it better look like for you next week? Then model it yourself. Share your own answers. This builds integrity, accountability, and emotional maturity, the traits that define leaders long after sport. I think you would agree. Now, here's why I'm sharing all of this with you. At TPH Academy, we don't leave these things to chance. We don't just see student athletes as players or students. We see them in 4 dimensions: as a player, as an athlete, as a student, and as a person preparing for life and beyond. 4 things. So what we do is we build these exact practices I've talked about here today every single day. We create experiences that go far beyond traditional school or the club model. We bring in guest speakers who have lived the journey. We get students into the community through service and real-world experiences. We create opportunities for public speaking, financial literacy, and leadership. We build mentorship into our culture, including big brother, big sister relationships at many of our academies. We host career days that remind athletes that their future is bigger than one path. And we've also developed a sport general, athlete-specific mentorship program that focuses on personal development, executive functioning and leadership, and mental performance, to name a few. Now, let's talk about the payoff. Okay? Here's what I see when life skills are developed alongside performance. Athletes become more confident. They become more confident because they understand themselves. Students become more independent because they know how to manage responsibility. Leaders emerge not because they're told to lead, but because they're equipped to. When you prioritize the person, the player thrives. And when sport eventually ends, the impact does not. That's what beyond the game really means to us at TPH. Okay, if you're looking for an environment that takes your child's growth beyond the scoreboard, one that treats leadership, life skills, and character development with the same seriousness as performance, I'd love to have a conversation. You can book a short Parent Playbook conversation with me using the link below. No pressure, just a chance to explore whether this approach that we've talked a bit about today fits your family. Because trophies, they're momentary, but the leader you help your child become lasts a lifetime.